Gallimera, Gallimera, Gallimera. Good morning, good morning, good morning. And how are we today? Well, it's day 70 of the lockdown, a milestone, and it's not too bad a day, actually. We've got some clouds up over the hills there, okay. It is a day for washing, all right. Jane has got our washing on and out, although I must admit it is looking a little bit grim over there at the moment, but not too bad. But it's nice. It's not too windy, as you can probably hear from the microphone. So it is. It's a lovely day, to be quite honest. It is obviously warm. I've just got a top on, and if we look over to the back end of the house and see what it's like round the back, looking towards Laguna and also towards Kalamaki. Yeah, the sun is out, nice and bright. Is absolutely gorgeous. We haven't been pestered by the chickens too much today because since Yanni's trimmed and cut all the grass, there's obviously a lot more for them to pick at rather than trying to get at the cat's bowls on the veranda. So yeah, it's just looking a really lovely day, and today's a very special day for Jane and I. It's the day that we do our pilgrimage to Lidl. Yes, it's that day of the week we get to Lidl. Everybody makes jokes about Lidl in England. It's like going on your holidays, they say, when you go to Lidl in England. However, here, it's a way of life for us, Lidl. And we are looking forward to basically doing today's shopping and getting out of the house for a bit. Again, we're still under lockdown here. Right, okay, let's have a quick look. Quick shout out to Emma Marku, Matt Williams, Fridge Watkins is also tuning in as well from Wales, and give you the news. Now, I've got to be honest, got some interesting news and I'll get to that in just a tick, but let's just go through the normal daily stats of what's been going on in the last 24 hours, and things are actually looking quite good. Right, as we said, it's 15th of January, it's day 70 of the lockdown, and COVID in the last 24 hours, we've had 559 new infections, which were recorded yesterday. Now that is down from the day before, where we had 671, so that's a positive. 147,283 cases since the pandemic started, of which 52.1% are male. And as for infections coming into the country, we only had 4 yesterday, which was good. They were identified at gateways in, and that is down from the day before where we had 17. So that's a positive as well. Now, no new cases of infection here in Zakynthos, which is good. And once again, we've only had 4 cases since the beginning of 2021. Let's keep it that way. However, there's been 1 new case on Corfu reported in the last 24 hours. As for deaths are also down as well, and I've just realised I haven't put the number in of the deaths, but they are down from yesterday at 25. All right. Anyway, so that's a grand. I've done this bit. Grand total of 5,387 deaths since the pandemic started. 95.4% had underlying health problems or were over the age of 70. The gender of the fatalities, 3,183 are male and 2,204 are female. So again, all the figures are pointing to a downward direction, which is really, really good. Now, when it comes to critical cases, that's also down as well. 328 critical cases across Greece at the moment in ICUs. That's down from 340 the day before, of which 227 are male and 101 are female. The average age of critical people at the moment is 69, with 88.1% of them having underlying health issues or are over the age of 70. And once again, if you might remember, the day before I had reported that 1,000 patients had left the ICU, but no real clear information of if that is over the entire case of the pandemic or whether that is just, well, it's definitely not from the beginning of the year, that is for sure. But anyway, things are looking good in that direction. Now, a little bit of disconcerting, hot off the press news this morning about the Greek police at the moment, and I think this is not good. Okay, this is definitely Big Brother is watching you. All right, the Greek police confirmed that during December and early January, They have charged 10 individuals for spreading fake news and conspiracy theories regarding COVID-19 on social media. The charges including citing people to disobey health and safety measures, questioning the danger of the virus, and posting fake information on the safety of vaccines. Now, this is treading into very dangerous territory on freedom of speech, expression of opinion. This is Big Brother is watching you. And I've got to be honest, I've not had any issues at the moment, maybe because I don't have enough people following me online. But I can assure you this, I try and give a very balanced two sides of every argument, which is what we should have. Sometimes we've got to learn to agree to disagree. And people at the moment, some people, it annoys me that people believe everything that they're told. They don't look or read. Maybe people don't have time. They trust the government to say the right thing. However, it has been proven, looking at China yesterday, the measures that China has taken when they report they've only had one death at all, and the measures they have like a social card that they carry with them. Now that card enables you to get your money out of a bank, it enables you to get in out of places, it even allows you access to your home. Now if you upset the Chinese government, they switch your card off. You can get no money, you can't get in and out of your house, you can't get on public transport, and we are slowly, I'm afraid, having civil liberties taken from us, and we are in a position where you will do as you're told, and 1984 has arrived. So I'm going to be looking at this. I'll be very curious to know who these people are that have been, sounds like, arrested and charged. There's no talk of any, well, there's talk of fines for them, but I'll be keen to know who these people are. Were they doing what people said? Just because you've got an opinion about a vaccine and saying, well, is this vaccine the right vaccine for us to have? How can that be classed as a criminal offence? All right, this is real 1984 territory. And I really do feel sorry that you cannot even ask a question without being hit upon by people who basically think you're rocking the boat, and at the end of the fact, keeping people in power who should no longer be in power. There's this night, I look at what's going on in America at the moment with the Democratic Party, wouldn't even put a vote on the floor of the American House of Representatives for single-payer health care. Oh, the time's not right. No, you're rocking the boat. You've got to be nice to people. Well, sometimes if you're nice to people, things don't get done. All right. Sometimes you have to take a stand. And I look at what's going on in America. Trump is now going, or gone virtually, impeached. And America, you're in for a whole world of hurt from Joe Biden. He's not going to do anything for you. You're not going to see $15 an hour minimum wage. You're not going to see single payer health care. You're not going to see a cancellation of student debt. You're not going to see free college for people. You are, and that's the four policies that any reasonable politician should have been campaigning on to get elected. But the Democratic Party bought and sold, like the Republican Party. You're not going to get nothing. And all you're going to hit now is depression and debt, and draconian debt of the worst kind, which again, even Greece is going to be facing as well once this pandemic is over. So once again, freedom of speech, the right to have an opinion, the right to disagree with somebody else. That's what it should be about. Not violence, not shouting, not screaming, logical discussion, looking at facts from all sides. Because in some cases, Trump actually did say a few things that in fact were actually quite correct and quite interesting. One of them was about the bleach. They all said, oh, bleach, inject yourself with bleach. No, that's not what he said. He said that some of the chemicals that were used in bleaches were also chemicals that some of the companies were looking at for part of the vaccine. Putting light inside the body to clear up infection, that is something that has been on the go for a few years now, where ultraviolet light can be used to actually help clear up injuries inside of lungs. So again, sometimes you say something you mull something over, it's probably the way you mull it over, all right? It can get you into trouble. But anyway, I'll keep an eye on that story because, again, we don't want to see that. And again, when you think that Greece was the home of free speech and democracy, no, that's Big Brother. That's George Orwellian. But anyway, let's crack on with some of the other news. Anyway, the German government at the moment is also considering imposing a much more severe measure on the population there as well, due to the deep concern over the mutated and highly infectious strain of the B117. Now, the consequences to the country of a complete ban on travel, including the suspension of local and long-distance public transport, are already being assessed. Now, meetings will be held next week with the individual state prime ministers to discuss the situation and any proposed new measures, as well as a unifying existence of the restrictions across the country. Now, that is not looking good for Germany. Don't forget, Germany are the biggest demographic that come to Greece in the summer, not for Zakynthos. For some reason, the Germans don't come to Zakynthos as much as everywhere else in Greece. So again, it looks like the Germans are now locking down more severely as well. And to be honest, I don't know what their stats are like or anything else like that. I'm just taking this stop press news straight from the horse's mouth, as it were. So again, we'll have a little look at how the Germans are going to handle this as well. Now, another interesting thing is the Greek National Transparency Authority said yesterday that the Greek police and officers from other agencies tasked with monitoring the implementation of the lockdown measures issued fines worth more than €500,000 in just 24 hours. Yeah, the agencies reported 1,689 violations. This is all over Greece, from 82,181 inspections that they carried out, which amounted in 537,550,000 euros, just under $500,000 there. They also arrested 22 people. There's also been 15-day suspensions on the operating of 2 businesses. Now, the main infringements reported were the non-use of a face mask and unauthorised movement. That's a common occurrence here, followed by violations of restrictions on business activities and private gatherings. This is an interesting story. Officers of the Hellenic police made 22 arrest violations belonging to 2 categories. That of a cafe owner in the Peloponnese who was caught serving customers. He was ordered to pay €5,000, and his 7 patrons who were sitting down in this cafe, they were all fined €300 each. Anyway, also a clothing store in Attica, the owner of that was arrested and fined a total of €8,000 for serving a customer, who was also ordered to pay €300 as well. And in Thessaloniki, another cafe owner was nabbed with 30 customers in her establishment, each of whom will pay €600 for not wearing a mask and for leaving their homes without authorization. So that's a double whammy of a fine there as well. Now, the bulk of arrests that were made in Crete were people caught. 20 people were gathering at a private residence that was being used as a gambling den. I can imagine that happening over New Year, actually, to be quite honest. Anyway, the owner of the property, he was fined €5,000, and each of the guests were also fined €300 as well. No reports about anything like that here on Zakynthos at the moment, which is good. Again, as we're all doing, we're playing the game. It's not about the virus really here. It's more about getting fined and getting caught and doing what you're not supposed to be doing. All right. So once again, don't forget to book out and make sure you've got the correct code also in your phone. And if you are stopped, make sure you've got all your documents and papers with you. And they ask you what you're up to, you can obviously say, this is what I'm doing and this is what's on my phone. I do know somebody yesterday came to me and told me that they'd been out exercising and they were stopped by the police while exercising and asked what they were doing. And he had to pull his phone out. He had to explain where he was going. And he said, if his mask hadn't been correctly on his face, and this is while exercising, they would have fined him €300. So he said, all right, fair enough, and just, put his mask up a bit higher over his nose and carried on walking. So once again, just be aware they are out and they are looking to collect money as well. All right. a little bit a lighter story for you. The trial of the robbery trial against the Mayor of Zakynthos, Mr. Ariakis, that continued on Wednesday at the third member Criminal Court of Appeal in Patra, with the examination of witnesses after the adjournment that took place because of the interruption in operations of the courts through to the virus. Anyway, there was no shocking new developments in the trial yesterday. The interest is mainly now focused on the apologies from the accused, which are going to be coming to the court within the next few days. Just to remind you about the case, this case caused quite a sensation last summer. Basically, the mayor here, Mr. Ariakis, was attacked in the street here in Zakynthos while carrying €500,000 in cash, taking it to the bank. These two characters, one was a policeman and the other was an Albanian. They attacked him, took the money. Not only that, but they also attacked another person as well and stole about, I think it was about €3,000 from that person. Anyway, the reason why the mayor was carrying that amount of cash with him was he was taking it to the bank because he'd only had his house broken into a few weeks before, where he had €300,000 stolen from his house. So he thought he'd put the remainder into the bank for safekeeping. However, by the time he got there, he got jumped. And also, during the trial, he's been accused that, one, where did the money come from, and etc. like that. There was questions about the amount of money as well, as these two characters who were sentenced to 20 years in jail. The Albanian got 21 years in jail, whereas the policeman, former policeman, you thought would get the higher sentence, got 20. But anyway, at the moment, they're saying that the trial is obviously for an appeal of the sentence for those two guys. And according to the information, the court yesterday cross-examined the former director of the Zakynthos police, Mr. Dittler, and also police officers and the president of the police officers union, Mr. Karagounis, as witnesses in the defence of one of the two accused, and also one of the accused's wife and brother were also cross-examined as well. Anyway, yesterday's proceedings included the bringing of documentation made both by the mayor and by one of the two accused, and specifically the Albanian, who is accused of being the main perpetrator of the robbery. Anyway, the current mayor's lawyers provided the information, such as copies of bills, booklets, etc., that were all called for to confirm that on the day of the robbery, he had in his possession this large amount of money, which was taken by the robbers. And as a fact that the defence attorney actually disputed. Anyway, in addition to the detailed report, the Cybercrime Directorate of Greece was also brought telephone calls as well of the accused on the day of the robbery. Obviously, they're not going to give recordings of the calls, but of the telephone numbers that were phoned. And the trial is now adjourned until January the 21st at the request of the police's lawyers, who asked for an adjournment until they gathered all the documentation related to the case. So there you go. That case is still ongoing. It'll be interesting to see how that case plays out at the moment. And finally, a bit of kind of good news, all right? The ominous cloud of the COVID-19 pandemic has not been without its silver linings. And more than any other event in recent history, it has brought forth the need to be able to work remotely, i.e. working online, for individuals and corporations alike. And as a consequence, the importance of data, which has been vital in all aspects of human life, has created a veritable boom in the market for data centers, and investing in this market has, in the words of this article, become a global El Dorado. Yes, there's money in your information. Anyway, naturally, technology giants are at the forefront of the surge, and here's some good news. Greece features prominently on their radar, believe it or not. Now, I already reported to you that back in September of 2020, there was an announcement for the construction of 3 data centers in the area of Attica, which belong to Microsoft. Anyway, along with Data Reality Group's acquisition of Ladmar Hiliex, which is Greece's largest carrier and a cloud neutral coalition provider of the biggest data center campus in southeastern Europe. There are two prominent examples. Now, Amazon is also expressed an interest now of opening a data plant here. And Greece is obviously in the hub for being able to be one of those places where they might want to construct an Amazon data center. Now, the Amazon data center is a bit controversial as a CIA resting place for information to be kept offshore from America. So therefore, it falls outside of American jurisdiction in the way that it can be retrieved. But it's interesting to see. And I always thought that maybe one of the reasons why all this data farming is coming here is because of the situation between Turkey and Greece is being given a little bit of a golden nugget to stay on the side with the Americans and also become that little bit of a wedge between Turkey and also the Western Mediterranean, which used to be Turkey's kind of wedge between that and Russia. That all these offers are being given and making business easier for American companies is because they want Greece's support with the Americans in the Western Mediterranean and that little wedge between Russia and also between the west of Europe, basically. So again, it's a positive in some respects. However, I wish the price of just data for normal people, the ordinary man in the street, could go down. At the moment, Greece has one of the highest costs of data for people using it in your home, on your mobile phones, on your streaming service like me at the moment. That could do with being cheaper. Also, a lot of people distance learning at the moment. Don't forget, we still got secondary school kids who are still learning and taking lessons online at home because they're not allowed to go to college. However, we may have information on that tonight as to whether the government is considering allowing secondary school kids and high school kids to go back to school. The kindergarten kids are back and the primary school kids are back. So they kind of all link in together. We know people here who are having a terrible time just trying to get their kids to attend lessons. And if the internet isn't very good, one, it's costing them money to be able for their kids to get an education. And two, the quality of what they're getting isn't very good for what they're actually paying. So anyway, that is that is the news for today, and a little bit of an insight into what's going on here in Greece. Let's have a quick look who's tuning in at the moment. Quite a few people tuning in. Andrew the Fridge Watkins, lovely to see you here. John Stoll is watching as well. Nice to see you as well, fella. Matt Williams is also tuning in. Emma Marku is also tuning in. Lovely to see you, Emma. Philip Ellis is also watching. Oh, that's Philip Ellis, Raffridge buddy of mine. I think that is you, sir. Nice to see you. Derek and Bridget Cole over there in Cyprus are tuning in. Cyprus, just to remind you, they've gone into an extreme lockdown measures like we have here, though theirs is a little bit stricter with the curfew at night, which I think, if I remember rightly, is your curfew from 6 o'clock at night till 5 in the morning, just off the top of my head. But I do know you're kind of following the lead of Greece in the way of locking things down. Anyway, so I'll give you a wave as well. Barry Baxter's watching as well. Raffridge buddy, nice to see you as well. Jack Harmer's watching as well. Raffridge buddy, nice to see you. Simon Grinley over there in Wendover in the Buckinghamshire. Nice to see you tuning in, Raffridge buddy. Emma Marku says, freedom of speech is no longer, Ginge. I only believe what I see now. To be honest, I now trawl... what do you call it? I don't listen to the mainstream media too much. I now look at alternative media. TDLR is a great site. Also, Jimmy Dore. The Young Turks, I feel, have sold out. They took 20 million from donors and immediately they went from left to centre. And then obviously they put a stall on single-payer healthcare as well, which was so sad that the TYT, the Young Turks, sold out. So again, I look at all news, and even here in Greece, we have a lot of alternative media because, again, the government here in Greece does also control the word that gets out, and you have to also look at the government word and look at the alternative word from the alternative media here. And we also here in Zakynthos have some very good media coverage as well. I've got to say, Irizita is very good, Hermes is very good, Santi 24 is very good, and also some of the Facebook bulletin boards as well, like Greece's bulletin, daily bulletin board is very good. Big shout out to the lovely Lorraine who runs that. And they take news from all over, from the bomb, which is a very interesting Greek news gathering service. Also, Keep Talking Greece, Greek Reporter. I remember working with them quite a lot when I was working with Hermes. I used to speak with them on Great, and they also can give a good balanced approach to news. So the problem is now, if you have an opinion, your opinion is catered for in whoever you actually get your news from. So again, you don't get straight news straight down the line. And it's interesting, Jane and I last night, we were watching a rather interesting little documentary about the big freeze of 1963 in Britain. And we were just looking at the way that the news was reported. It was Cliff Mitchellmore, who I'm showing my age now, reported on the big freeze, and it was so nice to hear them just reporting what was going on and the facts. No pundits coming in to give an opinion, to either drive an agenda. Sort of in the days when the BBC was truly impartial, whereas now it's driven by the left woke brigade and the box tickers for, you know, we must have this, we must have that, we must have the other. And again, it was interesting seeing the way the news was gathered back in that era, where you just got the facts with no opinion. And nobody is running a news channel that does that anywhere, where it's just the facts, no opinion, straight down the middle, unbiased reporting. You just don't see it. Anyway, I'm diverging there. So anyway, thank you for that, Emma. Christine Plant is watching as well. Nice to see you tuning in. And also, happy birthday to Suzanne as well. We haven't forgotten, my lovely. Bless you. Paul Booty is watching as well. Nice to see you. Andy Thompson, Raf Red Buddy, nice to see you. Andy Thompson says, morning, Ginge, morning. Adi Pratt as well is tuning in. Nice to see you, Adi. It's been a while. Nice to have you tuning in. Chris O'Gorman's watching as well. Mike Gallantry, round the corner, he's watching as well. Nice to see you, Mike. And Tony Wells is tuning in. I saw some interesting facts about Spain at the moment. Spain at the moment is seeing a 40% increase in people wanting to move there, and property actually being sold in Spain. So a lot of people running to Spain with what's been going on with Brexit and also with COVID as well. So Tony's already over there in Spain. It's nice to see you. Also, Ginge Coldwell, nice to have you tuning in as well over there in Leighton Buzzard. Ben Warner, nice to see you as well. You've just reminded me of something I need to talk about in just a tick. Yanis John Savas, nice to see you, John, tuning in. BBC buddy, nice to see you there as well, sir. Tony Dodgy Barrow, nice to see you as well. Geordie Rothwell, nice to have you there as well, fella. Tim Crystal says, morning, buddy. Also, Lyndon is also watching as well. He's off to the shops today as well. Joe Redding, he says, I should have been on my second week in Kalamaki, Joe says. Yeah, bless you, fella. I don't know when you're ever going to get out here at the moment, but hopefully, fingers crossed, everything is going to work itself out. Rossi over there in Australia is tuning in as well. Nice, lovely to have you tuning in, Rossi. Chick Ballantyne is there as well. Rossi says, Calamina, Ginge, looking good, my man, and with sunglasses. Well, actually, they're actually reflective lenses. It's the sun, mate. That's what's doing it. And also, John Mims is looking in as well. Can I just say, give my regards to Mitch. Mitch Mims was our Michael Jackson tribute. Mitch has decided he needs to get a proper job that's paying at the moment with everything that's been going on. So he's hung up his Michael Jackson attire for a while. All right, I think it's not the last we've seen of him, and I recognise that. Steve Hinckley up there in Stoke-on-Trent, he says good morning as well. Is it still snowy and pretty in Stoke at the moment? I'd be keen to know. Right, just a quick one. What am I doing today? Right, just to remind you, that today is a broadcast day. It's a Friday. Request and inspiration. I did a test show yesterday because I'd had such a nightmare the day before with my request and inspiration show number 4. But decide the fact that the stream got split. That's the first thing that happened. Also as well, it just wasn't running right. I had some problem. That show still charted in the Mixcloud chart. It got to 66 in the pop chart, 31 in the reggae chart, and 97 in the soul chart. So anyway, after spending a day going through all my systems again, I did a test broadcast of just ska music yesterday. Nothing else. This is just a ska test is the show. And at the moment, it ran smooth as anything. So hopefully, whatever gremlins are, they've disappeared away. And thank you for the people who watched that show yesterday. The reaction to that show was just incredible. People really loved it. Playing a lot of new ska, a lot of old classic ska. And again, people really enjoyed it. It was only just over an hour long. Introduced some people like Chameleon, also to the Jewelers, and Big Real Fish as well. And people really liked it. I know, what do you call it? Jane's brother is a big ska nut. And I think I also made it for him as well. And he enjoyed it as well. So anyway, so I'm broadcasting again today, starting at 3 o'clock UK time, 5 o'clock Greek time. Hopefully it'll be a nice steady stream broadcast with no interruptions, unless of course the CIA is getting ready to take me down. And if I don't appear, then obviously they've got me, all right? But anyway, join me this afternoon. Thank you for all the support, all the encouragement as well. I do enjoy getting the message out. And once again, I would like to emphasise, I do have an opinion, but I do look at both sides of the argument, all right? And sometimes you have to dip into both camps to get, to form your opinion, all right? So I look at the bad, I look at the good, and again, I go down. But I want you to understand at the moment that things here for us in Greece, in Zakynthos at the moment, we are still locked down. We don't see a reason that we should be locked down any longer. We just, we should be anything going back to normal work, going back to normal things, because we are an island. We can control entry in and we can control entry out. And we should be able to, have these restrictions lifted so people can get back to work, kids can get back to school, businesses can start to regenerate and try and salvage something from this awful it's over 6 months now, near enough, I would think, since the beginning of last year, really. It's all going. Anyway, one last comment from somebody who said yesterday's show was brilliant. Thank you for that. Steve Hinklin also says, all the snow's gone. They had more in Buxton yesterday. My godson was out sledging last night, apparently. He was out sledging under lockdown. Are you in tier 4 over there? Okay, it could be classed as exercise. All right, no hassle at all. Graham Bint is also tuning in from Australia. Lovely to see you here as well. And old Dennis from Magdalena's is tuning in as well. Don't forget, 10% discount, Magdalena's Studios. Go online to Magdalena's, book yourself a room. Just book one, all right, and worry about it. And don't forget, Wizz Air got some fantastic flight deals. Also, EasyJet have got some good flight deals as well. And also Jet2 have got some good deals as well. So make sure you get that. And Paul Bruff has said to me, there's loads of snow in Prague. And that's where Paul is at the moment. Listen, I better go or I'll never get out to the shops today. And I'll catch you later. You take care and have a great day. Ta-ra.